Stay away from Micah Parsons. All right, he is ours. He is not yours. And we got some Cowboys all-quarter century team to talk about. It is another edition of Love of the Stars. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, the great Brian Broaddus. Thank you so much to everybody who makes this part of your day. We love you, and thank you. I know you got a lot of choices when it comes to Cowboys content, but we appreciate you taking the time to join us here in Love of the Star. But Brian Broaddus, we chatted about this yesterday on our show, the G-Bag Nation, and KD at that Fanatics Fest, he tried to poach our guy, Micah Parsons. He pulled him over. He said, I got a prediction. In 3 years, he's going to be a Washington Commander. And Micah didn't exactly shut it down. He said, I rock with win. Is it time to panic? Do we think Micah could end up as a Commander?
No, I don't think so. I think ultimately Dallas has a couple of avenues that they're going to work to get this done. We've talked about the tag. I even talked about the tag with people in the front office, and was, they were always, it's always a possibility. It's something that's used when you cannot feel like you can get a deal done, and you're trying to kind of, maybe things are going to change in that way. So I kind of feel like that's a possibility. I do think Dallas is going to get this deal done. I think they have an idea about the parameters. I think David Mulligeta is playing the long game here. I think that Micah is one of those guys that likes to be out there and throw things. I think Micah says things that he really doesn't always believe. I think he's just it's on my mind. I almost admire him for being able to do it, to just not think about what you're saying and just say it. Oh yeah, I'm Philadelphia Eagles. I grew up an Eagles fan. Well, Cowboy fans don't want to hear that. Oh, I ride with Dan Quinn, and Dan did a good job with him. I mean, I just go back to that fateful day of, I don't know if it's fateful. It was a bad day for Tank Lawrence to get hurt at a practice. Then all of a sudden, they figure out that Micah Parsons can rush the passer, and you have this super beast of a pass rusher. But yeah, you got to give Dan Quinn and the staff for hunting a player, hunting something that they needed for their scheme. And Micah, fit the bill at that particular time. Has been one of the best to do it here the last several years. But I think Dallas does get a deal done. It's probably, it's one of those things where, Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and those guys over there are probably grinding their teeth about it a little bit, because they're probably getting held up a little bit. They're not going to get to negotiate this thing. It's going to be about the others that are ahead. How close can we get? Can we surpass? There's really going to be no negotiations here, I don't believe. Now, like I said, the Cowboys could hold their ground and just say, well, let's wait, and we'll just tag this guy, and then bet that Micah Parsons loves money more than he does sitting out. Nobody wants to sit out and get fined $50,000 a day for not being at practice. Micah doesn't want to miss game checks when they're over almost $2 million a game check. Nobody wants to do that. So I think that, Dallas, they could decide, listen, we could stop this right now, with the way that we're kind of getting bullied as, in our negotiations, and say, listen, we're going to do it this way and try and rally back. They might play on the fact that Micah, like I said, loves money, and hold out, make him hold out, and see if he's willing to, how far is he willing to take this? I read it, like I said, as with Micah doing a stay-in, potentially, that tells me he didn't want to get fined.
Yeah.
That's my indicator right there. If Micah was willing to sit out and be back in Dallas or wherever he's going to hang out and not be in Oxnard, well, that tells me that maybe there's some resolve there. He's going to sit this out and not be around. But if he's staying in and around the team and all that, that's telling me he didn't want to get fined. So I'm kind of taking that as, all right, let's carry this thing a little further and see how much he really wants it. This might be the way for Dallas to bring him back to the table. instead of David Mulugeta holding all the cards, maybe Dallas is going to try and take some of these cards back and say, okay, let's see how much you really don't want to lose game checks.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I would. It's crazy. It's reckless. But Dallas needs to do something different in the way their contracts are being done.
They do. They've got to play hardball with somebody.
They've got to find a way to change the narrative that they're just the cavemen. You know, that's just, they've got to do something different here.
Yeah, because if you're an agent right now, the track record says, hey, hold them out. Just wait. Eventually the Cowboys will cave. You will get everything that you asked for, and we're going to end up winning our side of the deal. So is Micah Parsons the player that they want to, go ahead and put the fork in the ground and say, all right, we're willing to tag you. You're not playing anywhere else. We've got control over you. So you either show up and do you want to lose money? The competitor in you. Also, I don't think Micah would stay away. I don't think Micah Parsons is playing in another uniform that doesn't have the star.
I don't either. I mean, Dallas, one way or another, you use the tag, they'll get a contract done. But they've got to find a way to bring Mulugeta back to the table,
right?
And kind of talk this thing through. Right now, I don't feel like that they're. Right now, I just don't feel like that they're in that mode. And maybe they'll surprise us.
That'd be awesome because I think there starts to be a lot of contract talk fatigue, and we might be getting there when it comes to Micah Parsons. I think people will be like,
it happened. It happened with Dak.
Yeah,
it happened with Dak, and you just. And then the hard thing and really the Cowboys have to be careful here on their end because they don't want this first year of Brian Schottenheimer to be all about Micah Parsons and him not being at practice. They don't want, you and I watching practice every single day and going, well, it's day 1, day 3, day 6, day 10 of Micah Parsons, and that's what's going to be the focus. It's not going to be the focus on what's going on the field. It's going to be the focus of, hey, listen, I'm tired of answering the questions about Micah Parsons, and so that turns into a whole nother thing in itself. And I don't think the Joneses want to put their new head coach through that, but it very well could happen.
We will see. Certainly people have had fun with this, but I think that's just Katie and Micah being boys. I don't think there's anything there. We're always looking for content at this time of year when you're in kind of a dead period and we're just kind of waiting to get training camp going. One thing that was really fun, our buddy Garrett Podell at CBS Sports, he put out the Cowboys all-quarter century team. And I wanted to go over this with you. I think the quarterbacks, it makes sense, the two you're going to have. It's Romo and it's Dak. Those have been your two franchise quarterbacks over the last 25 years. Your only other option might have been Quincy Carter, who took you to the playoffs in 2003. But those were going to be your quarterbacks. Running back, you got 4. It's Zeke, DeMarco Murray, Marion Baba, and Tony Pollard. Those are your 4 running backs on the Cowboys all-quarter century team. Cool with all 4 of those? They leave anybody out? Is Julius Jones being snubbed here, Brian?
No, I think I tell you what's surprising. Let's have a little fun. Pick one.
Yeah.
Pick one.
2016 Zeke.
Yeah. There you go.
That was the best of the bunch.
DeMarco Murray was outstanding the years that that he was here for a 3rd-round pick. Zeke and what he's done I think we need to play the game with pick one. Okay. Who do you pick? Okay, who do you pick between Dak and Tony Romo? We've done this before, right?
Yeah, I get it, guys. It probably goes back to our previous episode. I'll just lean.
Sure. But okay, very cool.
I'll go Romo and Zeke here for quarterback and running back.
I would agree on those. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, wide receivers. You've got Dez, CeeDee Lamb, Miles Austin, T.O., Amari, and Gallup. If I'm picking 2,
wow.
Because T.O. is so damn good. The one guy that they didn't mention here that I would love to give love to is Terry Glenn. I think Terry Glenn's time with the Cowboys is super underrated. I was a big fan of Terry Glenn. I thought at times, man, him and T.O., like he was better than T.O. for some games. But I think out of these 2, I think I got to stick with the 88 club. I got to rock with Dez and CD. But man, T.O. was damn good.
Yeah, Owens was outstanding.
That's tough.
I think when you start to talk about long term, I think I would go with Dez, and I would also I do agree with you, but the ones you mentioned also are like I say, it was Owens he was special, and then and you look at what Amari Cooper was able to do in the short time he was here. Unfortunately he got in trouble with the COVID stuff, but I think I would go with Lamb and I would go with Bryant there for the two.
Your tight end, it's obviously going to be Jason Witten. Hall of Famer. Yeah. Witten's the tight end, no brainer. All right, let's build our offensive line. This is what's interesting here, Brian, because I think his Tyron, he came in and he started at right tackle.
Yes, he did.
So they've got Doug Free on this list. They've got Terence Steele on here. But if I'm building like the best five, I think I would go Flozell Adams at left tackle.
Okay.
Give me Larry Allen at left guard.
Okay.
I'll take Travis Frederick at center.
Okay.
Martin at right guard and Tyron Smith at right tackle.
You found a way to get around. If you had to pick between Adams and Smith, who would you play at left tackle? I think so too.
And then I'd probably just have Doug Free as my right tackle.
I think Doug Free was a better player than what Steele has been. Steele has surprised the hell out of me. I mean, I think coming out of Texas Tech, I think Steele is in his 6th year now. Boy, that's 6 years. 6 years ago, I would not have believed that Terence Steele was going to be a starter in the league this long. But good for him. But Doug Free, man, Doug Free was. They both had their issues. They both had issues. Both good athletes. Both struggled with power. Both, there was always that S moment. When you're watching a block. I actually think that Steele is a better run blocker than Free.
Okay.
I might lean towards Steele. God, that's hard to say. But I do like what you did to try. But if you had to just keep it as is,
sure.
If you had to pick one or the other, I would give. Damn, I'd pick Free.
That little slant to the right that they used to do with DeMarco, like that with the running game modes. It's like Doug Free was so damn good at just getting in position there. But you're right. I mean, the combo block, if you have prime Terence Steele, him and Zach Martin together, and Martin said, I mean, Steele was his favorite guy to run block with.
No
I mean, that was a dynamic tandem there. I mean, Tyler Smith could end up being in this conversation. I just can't put him in over Larry Allen. And Leonard Davis had some really good years.
Yeah. Let me tell you this about Larry Allen. When I got to Larry Allen in 1999, he was starting to really decline, and it was unfortunate. It was sad to watch. He just got broken down, and he became addicted to the pain pills and stuff like that. And unfortunately, he lost his life way, way, way too young. But Larry Allen but it's just hard. Anytime you say Dallas Cowboys and offensive line and you don't throw Larry Allen in there, it's kind of like you're not doing the list right. But later in his career, he was really a shell of a player. But by the time I got to him in the early 2000s, he was becoming a shell.
How bad was that dynamic with him and Parcells? Because I just remember Bill ripping his ass about how fat he was, and it seemed toxic.
Yeah, it was very toxic, and Bill was trying to get. He was trying to get Larry motivated, and Larry wasn't buying it. He wasn't buying. Larry was. I remember Larry. There were times when we do the weigh-ins. Like if you were overweight, it was like $100 a pound for every pound you're overweight. Larry would bring like a stack of money with him, and he'd be overweight. He just peel off the bills and hand them, and then that was just fine.
Oh
But
man,
it was Bill really pushed Larry, and Larry didn't want any part of it. I think Bill tried to piss Larry off, and Larry got mad, but it wasn't the best situation. It wasn't like one of these where he came in and he embraced. Bill had been around those offensive linemen, with the Giants way back in the day with Kent Benson, and he had a group of Jumbo Elliott. He felt like he had that offensive line that was made by. It was a good line. Don't get me wrong, in the '80s and in the '90s, but that Dallas offensive line was different. That Super Bowl winning offensive line, that was different. And Larry was such a big part of that. And I think Bill in a way resented how good that line was as compared to his line. And that's why he and Larry had some problems.
You are listening to Love the Star podcast. Love the Star is an Odyssey podcast. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. The defensive side of the Cowboys all-quarter century team, defensive line. And I guess we'll go with 4. We'll stick with your traditional 4-3 here, Brian.
Yeah.
Which could be tough because they've got some 3-4 options here. I think, oh my gosh. You've got to go to DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware's obviously going to be an end for you.
Sure.
I think inside, give me your guy, Leroy Glover.
Yeah.
And Jay Ratliff. The problem is the other end. Like, do you want to go Greg Ellis? Do you go Micah Parsons? Do you go DeMarcus Lawrence? Lawrence probably the best run defender of the 3. Right. Ellis may be the best well-rounded. Parsons the best pass rusher of the 3.
I think you got to go Micah Parsons there.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think so. I have the utmost respect for Greg Ellis and what he was able to accomplish while he was with the Dallas Cowboys. I just think that you're talking about it. We've talked about it, but it's just Parsons is that difference maker. Much like Ware is. Where's that guy that offensive coordinators always say this? Offensive coordinators stay up at night because of him. I think Parsons, Ware, those are the guys you definitely would have to say are the ends.
Shout out to Marcus Spears. Your LSU brethren just left off. Tyron Crawford, who can look, there'll be reserves.
Tyron Crawford, let me tell you what, Tyron Crawford was a good player. He wasn't a great player. Rod Marinelli misevaluated him playing as 3. He misevaluated. He thought he could be that up the field quickness 3 technique. And they misevaluated there. They paid him money. It wasn't his fault. He got the money that, that he asked. And they sure. But by moving him from tackle, and they banged him up. They beat him up. They hurt his shoulder. He took 2 hits, whatever it was. This was the example where we used to say that position flexibility was a good thing. Yeah. In this case, it was a bad thing. It was a bad thing. This is where I started to learn that position flexibility is not a good thing, because all of a sudden you take a player like this and you're trying to kind of figure out where does he play, and then along the way he gets beat up, and now you don't have the player at all. I think the position flexibility hurt Byron Jones, not knowing if he was a corner or if he was a safety. I think that hurt him. I think it's hurt others. They bring these guys in and they want to champion position flexibility, but it really doesn't mean you have anything. It means you got a guy that can play a couple spots. Just play him at the one spot, let it be great at that spot. I think if they would have just kept Tyron, if they would just kept Crawford at edge, on that left side, I think he would have been just fine. But they kept moving him around, and ultimately it shortened his career.
Linebackers, wow. You got your guys, man, the small ones, but gosh, they were good with Dexter Coakley and Datwin.
They were very good. Yeah, very good.
Datwin was so good. And then certainly Sean Lee. If healthy, the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
Brady James, Leighton Vander Esch. That rookie season was great. They got Jalen Smith here. I'm not going with Jalen. I would put Anthony Hitchens in the conversation before Jalen Smith personally, just on stability. I guess the best three. Give me Lee, Coakley, and Wynn. What say you?
I don't disagree. We were a bad football team with Dat Wynn and Dexter Coakley. Now, they were great players on a bad team. We were bad offensively. We were good defensively because of Dat Wynn and Dexter Coakley. And I think Brady James needs to get a mention here. I think you did a little bit there. But I think Sean Lee, it's such a shame that the Cowboys have had these linebackers, very similar to what Carolina had with Luke Kuechly. Yeah. That they have a guy that's so instinctual and then also has the ability, to just the way they study, the way they move, the way they finish. It's a shame that injury robbed. I'd take a group of this. I'll take a group of, you let me have Lee, Vander Esch, and Dat Wynn.
Yeah.
I could. You're talking about dudes that'll go get the ball, that are smart, reactive, play the point of attack well. Bill Parcells wanted nothing to do when he started with Dat Wynn and Dexter Coakley, and Mike Zimmer convinced him. Like, listen, you're going to love these guys. You're going to love these guys. Yeah, they're not big enough. They're not this. They're not that. By the time they were done, Bill was like, boy, I was really, really wrong about these guys. So yeah, it's but there's a side of me that would put Lee and put Vander Esch and put Dat Wynn. Dexter Coakley's a hell of a player, but man, just when you start to talk about the vision and how to see it, how to react, how to get downhill, how to go make plays, those three guys are pretty darn good.
Really good. And LVE, gosh, that's unfortunate that his career got cut short because he looked like he was ascending into, one of the best linebackers in football just based off that rookie season. Such a bump. But yeah, the speed, the pursuit, the tackling ability of Coakley and Wynn. Yeah, those are all great.
Coakley and Wynn made every play.
It was unreal.
Every tackle they made, yeah.
Corners. You got Terence Newman, who I still think is one of the more underrated. And man, what a long career he ended up having. I thought when he left Dallas in 2011, this thing's pretty much done. I'll never forget Vincent Cruz just like running away from him against the Giants. I'm like, oh, well, there it is. Terence Newman's career is over. But then he goes to Cincinnati, is able to prolong that with Zim. You've got a lot of the guys now. Diggs and Bland are on here. Anthony Henry. Orlando Scandrick, Jordan Lewis. Opposite Newman, I don't know. You got a lot. You got Scandrick and Lewis, so you'd think it would be what, nickel players?
I'll tell you what, I love Jordan Lewis. I love him. Orlando Scandrick was, I think, a better nickel than Jordan Lewis.
Okay.
So I would go Orlando Scandrick in the slot, and then I would go Bland on the outside.
Okay.
Would be my one guy. Now you got to figure out the other side, though, right?
I'll go with Newman. I'll go Terence Newman over there.
Yeah. It was Newman was just about longevity. Newman, I think, we drafted Newman, and I'll never forget this. He was an older guy coming out of Kansas State. And Parcells pulled another one of his, why you drafted an older guy? And Larry Lacewell told him, like, listen, you don't draft this guy. We have no corners that can play. We do not have a cornerback on this team that can play defense, how you want to play defense. So Newman, Bland, Scandrick would be my three.
It's a pesky bunch right there. I like that. And those are players that'll tackle for you too. So I'm all for that. Safety, man, it's not a lot of great options here. Darren Woodson, you're going to put on here 100% because he's the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
I guess do you just have Darren Woodson and Roy Williams? Because Roy Williams was a tremendous player with Woody. Woody was able to kind of cover Roy Williams' flaws to where he could really excel downhill, big hits, splash plays. He didn't have to worry about the back end because Woody had him covered.
Yeah. He could tell him what to do.
Yeah.
He could absolutely tell him what to do. I think George Teague deserves some thought here because George was really, really a smart player. But yeah, when you put Woodson and Williams together, Williams didn't know what the hell to do. I mean, he really, literally did not know. Nice guy. But he struggled with his assignments, and Woody was able to say, "Hey, here, line up here," And so he helped him. And then when Woody went away, that was really kind of the end of. It was kind of, with Woodson too. He was towards like Larry Allen. He was towards the end of the rope. But yeah, I think that combination would be pretty good.
But this is by far, I think, the weakest of the position groups. I mean, the other name, we got Gerald Sensabaugh. Maybe you could throw in Ken Hamlin, who had a good year in 2007.
Yeah.
But it's kind of slim pickings here for safety. It's not like a blinking light of like, oh, this is obvious.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And then we wrap it up with your special teams. You got Bailey and Aubrey. You could pick one of those for your kicker. Punter, Matt McBriar. Long snapper, LP Ladouceur. And your kick returner, I guess Turp. I guess maybe you could go with Kevontae Turpin here if you want to. I did love me some Woody Dantzler. One of the all-time great punt returners of punts I've ever seen returned was against San Francisco at Texas Stadium. Woody Dantzler doing unbelievable things on that play.
Who was the guy? Why am I? And this is where I forget stuff. But who was our guy that we got? I believe he was from TCU in the Giants game that we won with Parcells at Giants Stadium, where we got the game-winning field goal. Like Dez caught the ball on the out, but we had a returner at the time.
Was it Dwayne Harris?
Dwayne Harris was good, by the way.
Dwayne Harris was good.
Yeah, but it was somebody else. Anyway, I know somebody.
It's going to bother me.
No, I need to look it up. But it was a little smallish. This is why I have too many names in my head.
There was Lucky Whitehead.
Lucky Whitehead was interesting, but this kid was back.
Switzer.
I know you're gonna come up with it.
I'm trying to just rack the brain. Like, who else did we have as like a little returner?
It was the Giants game. The kid put 1 foot out of bounds, and we got the ball like it was an out of bounds play. Wasn't there a Reggie Swinton too?
Yeah, Reggie Swinton. Yes, Reggie Swinton. Randall Williams.
Yeah, Randall Williams, not so much. Reggie Swinton was good, but there was another. I'll think of the kid when we're doing our show. I'll remind you.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, I think you'd have to go. I think you'd have to go with Turpin here. I think
he's been pretty damn awesome. He really has. And we'll end up getting texts about this. Your head coach, by the way, they went with Mike McCarthy here. I would go with Bill. I mean, I know that you know Bill better than most people, having worked with him. But I mean, he did he was able to completely overhaul what was a terrible football team.
Oh, he
set him up for success.
He took a very poor team, poorly coached and poorly put together on our part, and went to the playoffs. Quincy Carter went to the playoffs with that team. So I think that to me, and it's. But Mike McCarthy, you look at the number of games that Mike McCarthy has won. Is Mike
a lot of success?
Is Jason Garrett just kind of a 500 coach to you?
He is. I mean, it was just so. It was a 8-8. Here's a 12-4. 8-8. 8-8. 8-8. Here's a 13-3 type of 11-5. It just was. I couldn't really.
Kind of sporadic.
Very much so. Like when he needed to save his job. Here's a 12-win season for you and maybe a playoff win. But you're right. I mean, 3 straight 12-win seasons, that wasn't something any coach had done since you had the Super Bowl years. So Success-wise, I'm with you. Oh my gosh, Avion Kason. I just pulled up that 2003 Cowboys roster just to go through here and try and find maybe who our guy was. But Toby Goen was the punter.
We beat the Giants. We beat the Giants on like we kicked a field goal, like a 50.
Was this that Monday night game?
Yeah. Are you looking that one up right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to go through here. And
so it was a wide receiver, little. Reggie Swinton, I think, was from TC. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Reggie Swinton. I mean, he number 80. He was on the team. It might have been him.
Yeah. But it was somebody. I thought it was somebody else. It was somebody else that did this. I know we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Maybe.
Man, it's funny looking at this roster. Like, this is just.
How far down are you? Down through the wide receivers?
Yeah, I got pretty much. Nobody's sticking out to me that was a tiny guy. Dan Campbell was on this team. Antonio Bryant. Yeah, Reggie Swinton.
Was that 03 that we did that with?
2003 is what I'm looking at. Yeah. James Whalen?
No, go to 02. Go to 02.
Okay.
Go to 02. Because Bill's first year was 03?
I think it was 03. I think he was here 03.
All right. Okay, well then the 02. Because Dave was 2001 and 2. Right. And then, so it'd be 03. God, I can't, like I said, I thought
Galloway. We'll find out.
Terrible.
We'll get this. This is terrible. We're going to figure it out. Don't worry. At some point, Darnay Scott, we'll get this together at some point.
Yeah.
Man, I know there's so many. It's crazy looking at some of these names, man. Bryant Westbrook was on this team. Holy moly. Demetrius Underwood is Ross Tucker. There's our guy. Ross Tucker was on that squad.
Ross Tucker. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let's get to some mailbags. We'll figure this out. And I'm sure as soon as we post this episode, the social media will flood us and be like, this is who you were thinking of. And we'll say, thank you so much. You are listening to the Love of the Star podcast, the Love of the Stars and Odyssey podcast. You can find on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Let's get into the Dean Julia mailbag, shall we, as we go ahead and wrap up this edition of Love the Star. Always awesome questions that you guys are sending in, and we're going to try and do more mailbag-specific shows as we have time to fill in this offseason. Here's one from John Hilla Jr. Which player do you think the Cowboys keep long-term? Jalen Tolbert, Maris Leofau, or Kalen Carson?
That's thinking pretty deep right there.
Yeah, I think Marist has the best chance as of what we've seen right now.
I think it's probably Marist would be my guess, yes.
Tolbert, I don't think is coming back. And Kalen Carson is a big time.
Well, the thing with Tolbert is if him or Mingo show like some bump, if they show some bump in this year being like the third, fourth receiver, and you don't sign Pickens, that's where I kind of feel like that maybe those guys have a chance to be more long-term. My guess would be Maris Leofau, though. Now, I've kind of moved on. I've moved on from Tolbert. Hope he has a nice year, but me as a personnel guy, I've kind of moved on from him. If he becomes more consistent, that'll help, but I don't know if he can become more consistent. I really
don't either. I think he is. At this point, he is what he is. It's contract year. Maybe he goes out and balls out, but I don't see it. I mean, especially now with George Pickens, Kevontae Turpin, they got to get more reps. So they just paid him. So we'll see what ends up happening with Tolbert. Hope for the best there, but I don't think he's a guy that's probably back unless it's an affordable contract. All right, sure. Let's go to our buddy Dean Julia here. Looking to get my 4-year-old her first Cowboys jersey. Which player would you go for?
Well, it's never wrong to go with. I'd say the fun one to get is get the number 0 and get our linebacker.
Overshown. That would be fun.
But the problem is, can Overshown stay healthy? That's the thing about it. It's a fun jersey to have for a kid because it's like the number 0, which you're like, wow, that's cool. What are you doing there? Kind of a little bit of a, but I think that one would be one. I think people hate this. I would get, I'd get lineman jerseys and stuff. I'd get Smith.
Go for Cooper Beebe.
Go for Cooper Beebe. Go for
Tyler Smith.
Go for Tyler Smith. Go for go for these linemen. They need some love too.
Heck, they just locked up Osa Digizua.
97's not a bad call right there.
No.
So yeah,
but you want to go for somebody that's not going to just leave. CD's going to be here.
Right. Yeah. It's too easy. It's too easy to do the 88.
The 88. Okay. Is it Zuriel Smith? Is it Zuriel Smith, Brian?
That's who it is.
Let's go. I got it.
What year was that? What year was that?
So I found the game. I found the box score for the game, 2003 Monday Night Football. What's weird is I just rewatched the highlights of this game. It popped up on my TikTok. 35-32 in overtime. Crazy back and forth. And it was, it was the Billy Cundiff show. He made 7 field goals.
Yeah, Billy Cundiff hit 7 field goals that day. Yeah, and the last one, how long was the last one? It was over 50-something yards.
52.
Right? 52. Yeah,
52 to win it.
No, yeah. Yeah, Zuriel Smith. I couldn't remember Zuriel Smith's name, but he made a key play at the end of the game to give us field position. Or he fielded the ball out of bounds on the kickoff, gave us field position. One pass to Dez, and then Billy Cundiff with the field goal.
Amazing. Yeah, that game was a wild one. That was
wild. Yeah,
crazy game. I think that was the Tuna's first trip back to New York as the Cowboys coach.
I should have remembered Zuriel Smith. God,
man, dude, that fell through the cracks for me. I'm glad I was able to find that because that was bugging me. Okay, let's stick with Dean Julia here. What's got you most excited about Clayton Adams as offensive coordinator?
I really don't know. I don't know yet. And what's got me excited is that, you can watch Arizona film and you can see a little creativity with the way they run the football. You can see it different. It's not just this is what we do. I think there's some adjustments that they're able to make. And I say adjustments in a way that like the inside game, outside game. We talked about pin and pull stuff that they were doing. But I think the creativity with how the quarterback, but it's a different offense with that quarterback, the way he's able to run around, Yeah. And so I don't know what I'm excited about Clayton Adams yet. I don't know. And I think that's where I think we need to figure out, is Clayton Adams really coaching the offensive line, or is Clayton Adams just kind of a walk around OC, but helping, get the game plan together and then shoddy calling it, I don't know. So it's hard for me to say I'm excited about anything other than I did see Arizona run the football, have some creativity in their offense. Is he able to bring those types of things to Dallas? That's going to be, I just want it to be different than what it's been in the past. I would like, and I've argued this before, or brought this up before, and it's not just about helping the quarterback. I just want my play callers to be able to adjust, be able to steal, be able to be creative, be able to be innovative. Those are the things I'm asking. So if he comes in and shows his willingness to push the offense and take little bits of wrinkles from other teams or create his own wrinkles, then I'll be happy with Clayton Adams is what we're doing here. But don't be like Mike McCarthy's crew and Dak Prescott coming off what was a MVP type season and not doing anything to advance the offense. Don't do that. Don't do that. If that's the case, then this is going to be failure.
Definitely.
So I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know how to answer that because I don't feel like I know. I know what I saw in Arizona. I don't know how that's going to translate to Dallas. Am I encouraged? Sure. I'm encouraged. Anything differently, I'm encouraged by. Because I didn't think it was good enough under the previous regime. I really didn't. Especially last year.
No, God, it was awful. I mean, I guess it would be the running game for me. You know,
Sure.
I'm excited to see what type of running scheme, because that, I think we've had an issue with that maybe ever since Bill Callahan left. Like
Sure.
it's just very vanilla. They
Yeah.
don't have much creativity to the way they run the football. And certainly
Yeah.
Clayton Adams is a guy that he's got multiple ways to beat a defense. And, you know, I mean, we've talked about this with Mark Schlereth, right? They could have the same 3 plays, but they've got different ways that they're showing it to the defense, different ways that they're going to block it up front. But it is tough when you have an offensive coordinator that's not the play caller, right? So you're not really sure what's the role there.
Right.
So I get where you're coming from. Chris Brown asked, which would you rather have, a top 10 defense in stopping the run or a top 5 rushing game on offense?
Give me the offense.
I'm with you. And I think we've seen that work. I think you can go back to 2014, not a great defense, but what they do to help the defense, they ran the damn ball.
Yeah.
So you're using clock. You're dominating the tempo of the game. You're keeping your defense off the field. I think it's definitely being the offensive side for me as well.
Yeah, give me the offense. Absolutely. Yeah, everything you just said is true. There's nothing more demoralizing. I've stood on the sideline of many NFL games where the other team was running the football and you could do nothing about it, and it's the most helpless feeling in the world when you watch that happen to your team. So give me the ability to dominate teams that way.
Yeah, just absolutely demoralizing. Okay, last one here, and we'll go back and we'll finish up. We got a couple of troll questions when it comes to, like, when are you going to end the 30-year drought? I get it. I'm with you. I hope that it really, really happens soon. We'll go to Pegleg. Pegleg, great name here. If Blue is slow to pick up the playbook, do you think that gives Deuce Vaughn an easier path to make the team, especially with his former college coach now on the staff?
Okay, I appreciate Pegleg what he's doing, because I think he's listening to the conversations that Bosch Lombardi and I had on the Doing All Right podcast. We talked about this last night. The only thing that I believe can really slow Blue down is him not learning the playbook right off the jump. If they they're going to get him involved, and usually it's pretty good with young running backs or plug and play and you go, but I don't know how complex this offense really is going to be. And Blue split time at Texas, or is he picking up things? We'll see at camp. If he's picking up things quick, we'll see it. If he's not, and he's not playing, because coaches won't play guys that don't know what they're doing. Okay, but I personally feel like that Deuce Vaughn will pick things up. He's a veteran player. I just feel like, though, there's the physical limitations will keep him from making his team. That's my biggest concern. It's not about smarts or toughness or willingness or any of that stuff. Just physically how he looks. So it's an advantage really to nobody. They need Blue to pick up the playbook. They need him to be on point, being able to where he needs to, when they hand him the ball, when they throw him the ball, and he needs to be on point when he has to pass protect. If he's not up to snuff on those areas, it'd be hard to play him. I mean, at Texas, he showed the ability to be ready to go, but if he comes in here and is slow at training camp and you see mistakes, well, that I don't know if that gives. It's not an advantage for anybody. It's actually, I just think that Deuce Vaughn is Deuce Vaughn, and they're going to play. That means they'll play Sanders and Williams and others more. That's what I'm thinking it'll be.
I don't see a path to Deuce Vaughn making the roster.
I don't either.
I love really Deuce. I was optimistic, man, when they took him in the 6th round. I was like, hey, they're going to have a plan. The tape at Kansas State was awesome, but they haven't. Yeah. They've shown no. And he, unfortunately, I thought maybe as a kick returner he'd have something. He looks so uncomfortable returning kicks and punts. So if he's not able to play any type of special teams, there's not a spot for him, which is unfortunate. And that's where we're at here. Thank you so much, Brian. This has been a blast, bro. Always love talking football. Absolutely. Thanks to everybody that's paid attention and subscribes and likes. Tell your friends about it. Love of the Star here. of course, on Odyssey, an Odyssey podcast. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Until next time, I'm Zach Wolchuk with the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus. Hugs and hand pounds, everybody.